I looked down, and everybody I loved and cared about was standing all together looking so sad and lost. Then Jesus told me, "This is what your death will do to the people you love." Today's NDE is by Anthony. Hello, my name is Anthony M., and I've just had the single most horrific incident of my life. I was killed in a motorcycle accident, went over to the other side, met with my other family members who had already passed, met with Jesus, saw heaven, and then was lucky enough to be allowed the opportunity to return home. This is the story of how things happened and how I was eventually pushed to come back into this life instead of staying over there. The best way for me to describe my crossing over is to ask if you've ever been hit hard enough in the head to see a bright blue light. That bright blue light you see, if you've ever been hit in the nose or between the eyes, that light you see, that is the path to heaven. After the car hit me, which I didn't even see coming, I felt an intense heat, and that blue light was all around me, no matter where I looked. Then I felt an intense pain and heat all around my body. I did not know what was going on or what to expect, so I just went along with it. After all, it was calling out to me, "Anthony, you're hurt really bad. Come this way." So I did. I followed the blue light as it spiraled upward. The more I felt at ease following the light, the more the pain and intense heat went away. I followed the light upwards until I could no longer see anything below me. Then the path of light changed to steps. That is, I was no longer floating, but stationary on a single step, the same color as the blue light. As I walked up another one, another would appear, and then another, and then another. I walked up the stairs until I could go no further. When I was about 10 or 15 feet from reaching the top, the steps of light were no longer generating new steps. That's when I stopped and looked up. I saw a little white footbridge made up of stone with a wrought iron and darkly stained oak handrail. I looked up to the left of the bridge. That's where my family was standing. My father, 2 sisters, grandmother, and uncle. The center of the bridge was missing, and the right side was completely empty. At this point, I tried talking to my family, but it was as if they could not hear me, or did not want to hear me. They were all looking through me at something they loved and admired behind and above me, because they were all smiling and looking so peaceful and lovingly. It was so beautiful up there. No clouds, no trees, no dirt, no grass, just white. The brightest, purest white I have ever seen. It almost glowed. Beyond the bridge was a huge building made up of white stones with little square windows. At the time, I didn't know what to think, but now that I'm back here and have had time to reflect, I think that maybe it was heaven itself. The first person to talk to me was my father. He said, "Anthony, what are you doing here?" I told him, "I don't know." And then he said, "Anthony, you know that jacket of mine?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, that wasn't meant for you. It belongs to your brother. What would have happened if you were wearing that jacket when you had had your accident?" I said, "Accident?" I really didn't know what he was talking about, because I didn't know that anything had just happened. Then my father showed me the leather jacket I was wearing when the car hit me. It was all cut up. Now I knew what he meant. If I was wearing his jacket at the time of the accident, then it too would have been ruined. It was as if my father could hear my thinking, because he then said, "Then where would your brother have been?" Again, I thought, without my father's jacket, which meant so much to both of them, my father said, "You make sure that you get that jacket back to your brother as soon as possible. It wasn't meant for you. It was meant for him." I said, "Sure, Dad. I'll get it back to him as soon as possible." Just then, as I was about to speak to my sisters, this white opalescent glow surrounded them all. It looked so bright and so pure, like the kindest energy to be found. Then between the white shadow glow and their actual selves appeared another shadow, but this time it was made up of the purest, goldest gold. I was in complete and utter awe. Words could not describe the terrific feeling I was wrapped up in. Like they were so lucky. I envied them. Then I reached up to where my grandmother was standing, and I tried to push her hair back. I wanted to see what was between the gold, bright, and pure light. But as I reached for her hair, I felt her hand pushing mine away. I looked at her curiously as to say, "Graham, what are you doing? I miss you so much." Then I tried again and again. She pushed my hand away each time and said, "Anthony, you don't want to look at that light. It's not for you." I was dumbfounded. That's when Norma, Audrey, Grammy, and Uncle Carl started talking to me. They all said in unison, "Anthony, it's not your time. You have to go back. You have so much to live for. It's just not your time. Go back." I replied, "But it hurts so much. I don't think I can go back. Plus, I don't know how to go back." At that precise moment, a sharp beam of light came down to my right, like a powerful halogen flashlight on a dark night. I looked up to find the source of the light, and that's when I saw Jesus floating down on top of the beam. He floated right down to me. Then he looked me right in the eye and said, "So, Anthony, what are you going to do?" I looked Jesus right in the eye and said, "You mean I have a choice?" Jesus replied, "Of course you do. You were hurt pretty badly in an accident. No one would blame you if you stayed up here." Then I thought, what will happen to those people down there that I care so much about? Then Jesus put his hand on my shoulder, turned me around, and without saying anything, told me to look down. I looked down, and everybody I loved and cared about was standing all together looking so sad and lost. Then Jesus told me, "This is what your death will do to the people you love." And then he opened them up so I could also see their hearts. I could see my wife, Anne, my mother, Grace, my brothers, Darren and Boovie, my sisters, Christy and Diane. Their hearts were torn and pieces were dripping down. Jesus told me that their hearts were breaking. I also saw my stepchildren, Nicholas and Danielle. Then Jesus said, "This is what the lives of their future will be like without you in their lives." I saw my mother with a sadness in her heart that just wouldn't leave. She was saying things like, "Why, my special little baby?" Then I looked at Anne. She never left the house. She stopped eating, started smoking more, and most importantly, she never dated or went out again. Then I saw Danielle. She was about 20 years old and was getting ready to walk down the aisle, with no one to give her away. She was so sad. She wanted a conventional wedding, and she would have given anything for me to be there, to see her so pretty and so proud. She knew I would have liked her choice for a husband, a real man's man, just like I was. At that point, the choice was no longer hard. I knew I had to go back. Then I started to hear the prayers of all the people that cared for me. My wife, Pauline, my older neighbors, my mother, my in-laws, and my brothers and sisters. I could hear their thoughts and prayers as if they were right there with me. After I would hear a prayer, I would look around to see who was saying it. Once I recognized who it was, one of the steps would disappear and I would go down one step. Then I told Jesus I would like to go back. I really think Jesus approved of my decision because he said, "It's not your time. I have bigger, better things planned for you." Then I thought to myself, what about the pain, the recovery? Will I be myself? Again, Jesus must have read my mind because he said, "No one is going to go through what you went through and go back empty-handed. I'm going to send you back with something." So with his right hand, he grabbed my right hand. Then with his left hand, he placed it and cuddled the back of my head. All of my pain disappeared at that point. And the second he placed his left hand behind my head, my feet rose up until I was almost at a 45-degree angle. We then began a downward descent that was as smooth as an escalator until we were directly over Maine Medical Center. Then, just as if we were ghosts, we went through the roof and into the operating room where my doctor was performing surgery on my severely fractured skull and brain. And then Jesus ever so gently glided and placed my spirit back into my body in one smooth movement. That's all I can remember.